The other day, Rep. Cohen said, quote, "The National Guard is 90-some-odd% male, and only about 20% of white males voted for Biden. There are probably not more than 25% of the people that are protecting us that voted for Biden." Well, you know, Rep. Cohen, who else was nervous around our troops? Al-Qaeda. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ruthless.
Democrats are set to take control of the U.S. Senate, House, and the White House.
This will go down as one of the most progressive administrations in American history.
God willing, everything is on the table.
You now can pass things without a filibuster threat. That's right.
Oh, you'll regret this, and you may regret it a lot sooner than you think.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
All right, welcome everybody to the Tuesday episode. We got a banger plan today.
We do. We have to start with the obvious, which is your heroism and your current location in the confines of the very well military guarded District of Columbia.
I mean, to say the least. So I have a place, folks, about very near the White House here in DC, and not just in the green zone. I'm in the red zone, which is like a very serious, secure location. Like, for blocks around me, there is fencing and National Guard. They've got concrete barriers.
Have you left
in the roads?
Have you left your apartment?
Once, briefly. I mean, it's horrifying out there. Let me tell you, folks.
So like when you walk out, I mean, I assume everybody's like, "Where's your ID?"
I mean, that's the thing is, so, we got a notice in my building. They slid under a door. They said, you should be prepared to present ID to any of the National Guardsmen you will see patrolling our streets. Included is a letter certifying that you are a resident of this building. Present it if asked. It's like, the letter's like, "To whom it may concern, so-and-so lives at this building. Please do not shoot on sight." It's something. Like, there are military checkpoints, folks. So there are actual military checkpoints to get in and out of, the so-called red zone.
But, for our audience who know a lot about you, Smug, but perhaps not your sort of lifestyle choices, the act of being cornered in your actual domicile is not the problematic part here. The problem is nobody can bring you anything.
That's it. I mean, this is one thing that they clearly didn't consider is you're essentially cut off from civilization. Like, Drizzly
you're fine as long as somebody's bringing you bourbon and steaks, right?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, like, what happens to folks when they need their essentials?
Smug is entirely reliant on Foldy and the gig economy.
Pretty much. And I'm a job creator, folks. Like, who's gonna bring people their Whole Foods? Who's gonna bring people their bourbon? Who's gonna bring people their Amazon deliveries? The answer is right now, no one in the red zone. No one. Like, I can't get my Amazon deliveries. I can't get my Whole Foods groceries delivered. I can't get bourbon delivered.
Did you prepare?
Thank God I stockpiled. Yeah, I stockpiled. I knew they were gonna go like ham when there were reports that like 25,000 troops there are 25,000 troops in this city.
So you're not like reliant on rail bourbon at this point?
No. I mean, I had to stockpile the good stuff because, I mean, essentially it's a famine in here. it's a literal famine. These conditions. I'm being dead serious. It's horrific for folks who are stuck here. It's horrific.
Truly on the front lines.
It is. It's insane. Like, I took a walk out, outside the other day. You can't get an Uber for. I'm serious. Like, at least 10 blocks from my place, you can't get an Uber. All the roads are shut down.
We will never know the kind of heroism that Comfortably Smug has displayed in our moment.
That's one thing I wish this upon none of you. I never want anyone to have to suffer through this kind of situation. It's crazy.
There's not a single fresh cut flower anywhere in the area.
No. I can't get those Whole Foods tulips. No, sir. No trucks getting through here.
Well, I know the hardship. I'm virtually certain that you will survive. But we'll have to keep an eye on.
It's the prayers of the minions that keep me going, and they're appreciated in this time of dire time.
I think that's right. Well, clearly the backdrop to all of this is the inaugural and the extra security that has happened, and we want to get into all of that. But what do we have here, Smug?
Let's see. I know what we really need to get into is the cabinet that incoming president-elect Joe Biden is putting together. A very suspicious group of folks, to say the least.
Yeah, well, most of them work together in the same sort of makeshift, make work organization that they stood up for each other to have foreign clients and the like.
Yep.
And we went through some of that in a few episodes back with the Secretary of State nominee and all of that. But there are also other people that we didn't cover that we want to get to, one of whom has a hearing today. Alejandro Mayorkas was nominated to run the Department of Homeland Security. And the reason I wanted to highlight him, frankly, is because he's likely to be ushered in. You know, I mean, this guy's getting a hearing with the backdrop of the inaugural, right? They've got impeachment discussion. There is basically militarized Washington, D.C. Nobody is focusing on this guy at all. But when things go wrong, you will remember this episode because this is a guy who served during the Obama administration and had an inspector general report in his tenure there that showed that he had high favoritism and provided special access to politically powerful Democrats, including Hillary Clinton's brother. Now, why is this important? You're like, oh yeah, that's just the way Democrats work. Well, in his capacity, and this is from the New York Post, right? In his capacity as head of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, according to an Obama-era 2015 report from the Office of Inspector General, Mayorkas intervened to help expedite visa requests for wealthy investors. Okay, so this isn't just sort of about like hooking up capital tours, right? This guy is actually giving citizenship preferences to people. And I don't know if you remember this scandal at all, but it engulfed the then Virginia governor, Terry McAuliffe, who is running again for governor of Virginia, because he had some sort of financial ties to a lot of this, as did Harry Reid and Ed Rendell and Hillary Clinton's brother. It was just a mess of Democratic stuff. But here, this nominee who nobody's talking about, because if you have to lean on the mainstream press for this, you'll never hear it. It was at the center of it.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing is, that right now the journals are only writing stories like, hey guys, here's the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris playlist. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get hard hitting facts from anyone except from Ruthless.
That's right. All right. So keep an eye on this Mayorkas guy, particularly around the immigration issue, because, Biden also rolled out this plan. He wants to do a full immigration haul, which I can't think of anything else that would unite the Republican Party faster than Democrats having a liberal vision for immigration reform. But this guy's going to be at the center of all of that, and you won't get it anywhere but Ruthless. So keep an eye on it. But there are a couple other things that we wanted to highlight.
Real quick on that immigration thing. So I'm trying to find which outlet reported this. There's video where they're interviewing folks in this Honduran caravan. And they say, you hear this multiple times, they're like, yes, we're headed to America because Joe Biden promised in the first 100 days, he would throw out all of Trump's regulations and let us in. That was his campaign promise. So
Can't be true, Smug. I was told by the mainstream media numerous times that the caravans were invented by Donald Trump and the Republicans.
Yeah, exactly.
To scare people ahead of the election. Those caravans aren't real.
Yeah. must have been seeing ghosts. It's really funny. It's something else. Who you got next?
Yeah, wait until they show up at the border and they get the equivalent of a turnstile.
Yeah. That's the Biden plan.
So one of the things that we've unearthed that we haven't been able to independently confirm, but it is a suspicion, and we've heard from very good sources that there has been movement at the State Department like this. But Biden's nominee, Tony Blinken, is one part of this. He's likely to be confirmed with a Democratic Senate, and he'll be over there. What you probably didn't know is that 3 doors down from him in the State Department over in Foggy Bottom, they look to be preparing an office for John Kerry.
That's right.
Now that's
John Kerry at the State Department. When his job is what? He's like Secretary of Hippie nonsense, right?
Yeah, he was like climate something or other.
I didn't even know that was a job. I mean, like Secretary of Climate. Okay.
So again, we haven't independently confirmed this, but we have it on really good authority that they are preparing an office for him. And we'll see if the guy shows up or not. But that's significant for so many reasons. This guy is the author of the Iran deal, right? Which ultimately shipped pallets of American taxpayer dollars over to Iran so they could attack us and our allies in Iraq and Israel and Hezbollah throughout the Middle East. That guy's going to be back at the State Department. I mean, that's the worst.
I mean, that's the thing is, who do you think's gonna be running that place? Some guy, Tony Blinken, the like supposed Secretary of State, or John Kerry? You know, and there's already reports that Biden's people are talking to Iran, letting them know, hey, folks, you know, we want to get back to the Iran deal. I was told that was like a Logan Act violation, right?
Right. If there's anyone who's like violated the Logan Act, it's got to be John Kerry, right?
Yeah.
This guy's got like a special red phone, you know, to Tehran, right? Unbelievable.
Yeah, the Ayatollah only picks up for John Kerry.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to be said about John Kerry. Didn't he throw his medals away? Like, Google John Kerry Swift boat, people. There's a lot of material there.
There's a lot of material there. But you know, I can see his fingerprints on a number of different things. There was also a story out yesterday that Biden is going to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline, which, as you recall, is not a particularly controversial thing. It's a pipeline that runs from Canada down to Texas. It allows oil refineries to do in a more safe manner than trucking or training this tar sands to refineries, right? And like being as though we haven't snapped our fingers and ran the economy on air yet, we require gas, right?
Yeah.
we require oil and fuel. And what happened was the Obama administration blocked this. And if you remember, it was exclusively because of donor pressure, right?
Yep.
They had these big pocketed left-wing environmental activists that unilaterally canceled this thing. So Trump gets into office, he undoes that. They start making more progress on all of it. It's almost put together, right? It's almost ready for full operation. And now Biden's going to cancel the damn thing again.
You know, it's really interesting. There's something to be said about an administration whose like focus from day one is trying to cripple America's energy independence and get friendlier with countries in the Middle East that hate us.
Yeah, what's also funny is Canada, of all places, the place that the libs always say is better than America. They love this pipeline. In fact, they're very upset that Biden might cancel it. Canada loves it. Unions love it.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who likes the price of gasoline where it is should love it. It's so unbelievably dumb because it's not like it stops refinery of oil. Right? It doesn't. All it means is that you have to take it in a less safe manner.
Yeah. You gotta spend gas taking it up in trucks instead of
Right.
using the pipeline. I mean, this is the thing. It's like neoliberal thinking is completely this. It's they're wealthy and disconnected enough from people to not care that it's a job creator, and in the long run, it's actually better than like sending trucks to do it. They just on the surface want to appear like they care.
That's it. It's all an episode of The West Wing, as we've said.
It really is.
From the very beginning, right? And it's the most back-asswards way. Energy, it really comes to the fore how backwards they ultimately are because they make these just pronouncements, these declarations about emissions and all the like. Meanwhile, there are like tens of thousands of people who make a good living off of all of this, and you have done nothing to replace the source of energy. Right.
Yeah.
So like we continue to fuel our cars and heat our homes and do all this stuff with the hard work that these people are doing that you've made so much more difficult and placed our environment, frankly, in more jeopardy because you don't outline a plan that makes any damn sense.
You know, and speaking of the West Wing, I think, it has to be said there's a huge problem for Dems and libs in general is they thought the West Wing is a drama when the West Wing is a comedy, folks. You're supposed to be laughing at these harebrained people. And they're like, oh, wow, this is a blueprint. We should emulate these crazies.
They really are. I know, Duncan, your favorite development in the new Biden administration is who they've selected as a DNC chair.
Oh, no, it's great. It's great. So Jamie Harrison, you may recall, ran against Lindsey Graham in South Carolina for United States Senate, raised north of what was like 120.
Didn't he break the record? The most amount?
I think so. He broke the record. Well, he's Biden's new pick for DNC chair, which is just great considering he knows how to spend money so poorly.
That's what I was saying. This is a good development. I support this pick. Hopefully the Dems can follow his lead and raise all that money to just lose.
What I really love about it is the the juxtaposition between what Jamie Harrison gets out of running against Lindsey Graham and what Amy McGrath got for running against Mitch McConnell. And this is
where did they put her? What did she get?
Oh, this is just so great. So Philip Bailey, a reporter for USA Today, covers a lot of the Kentucky stuff, tweeted out that a Kentucky source tells me Amy McGrath has been approached about a job with the transition team as a USDA rep for Kentucky.
Really? That's what they gave her?
Owned. Completely owned.
For those of you who like the acronyms and you don't quite know, what we're talking about is a staff position at the Department of Agriculture that is based in Kentucky that basically just picks up the phone. I mean, it's like I guarantee you the current rep for Kentucky at USDA is like 24.
It's just, look, I'm sure it's a fine job, but for the most hyped Senate candidate in Democratic political history, seems like a step down. I don't know.
Wow.
Can you imagine what the recruiting versus reality was in that? It's like,
Man.
Amy, listen, Chuck Schumer's probably laying it on really thick. Like, Amy, here's the deal, right? We're going to win the White House. This is going to be a tough campaign for you. I think you can win. She lost by 20, by the way. I think you can win. But even if you don't, we're going to have a new administration. This is my Chuck Schumer. A new administration. We're going to have an awful lot of jobs of it. Veterans Affairs, Amy.
Yep.
I can imagine Veterans Affairs. You'd make a very good face for veterans.
Not cabinet, not undersecretary, not even chief of staff of one of these departments. Rep. She's going to be going to trade shows.
If you're in the basement sorting mail at Old Exec, you got a better gig than this.
That's amazing. Wow.
You hate to see it.
You hate to see it. Couldn't happen to a better gal.
Oh, man. All right. So what do we have next on the docket?
All right. So this is a very, very important. So, we've gotten into this a little bit on the pod, but the media is obsessed with misinformation, ultimately the post-election drama, the discussion of fraud that ultimately didn't pan out, the MyPillow guy and all that shit. And basically what it boils down to is having the memory and the current application of misinformation to everything that Democrats have said and done over 4 years. And it's hard because you're arguing a little bit of apples and oranges, and we've gone round and round over the last week about how hypocritical Democrats are. But here, a gift is provided for Ruthless to dissect in a most perfect possible effing way. Hillary Clinton on her podcast hosting none other than Nancy Pelosi. Let me play some audio.
Historically, we will find out who he's beholden to, who pulls his strings. I would love to see his phone records to see whether he was talking to Putin the day that the insurgents invaded our capital. But we now know that not just him, but his enablers, his accomplices, his cult members have the same disregard for democracy. Do you think we need a 9/11 type commission to investigate and report everything that they can pull together and explain what happened?
I do. Let me, again, to your point of who is he beholden to, as I've said over and over, as I said to him in that picture with my blue suit,
right,
as I was leaving, what I was saying to him as I was pointing rudely at him, with you, Mr. President, all roads lead to Putin. I don't know what Putin has on him politically, financially, or personally, But what happened last week was a gift to Putin because Putin wants to undermine democracy in our country and throughout the world.
I mean, these psychopaths. This is the original.
She's still not recovered from it, man. She is like that much in denial. She cannot accept that the American people despise and loathe her. I think she, like, you know, it's Anon. Hillary believes this. It's Anon. It's all Putin. All roads lead to Putin. Putin was on the phone with Trump, directing these people to storm the Capitol. How insane do you have to be to believe this?
I also love how they've memory hold the Mueller investigation. Like, we didn't do this for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And
there needs to be an investigation to determine ties. Well, actually, it was done. And you people had your, like, it's Mueller time t-shirts on until you found out, actually, there weren't any ties.
I can't get over the level of insanity. She genuinely in her heart believes that Vladimir Putin elected Donald Trump, despite zero evidence to the contrary. 3 years, $40 million, the best investigators that Washington had to offer. All of that doesn't matter. She believes it, right? But now it's not enough that she still believes it, despite like reality. She does a podcast that says Putin is likely responsible for the uprising at the Capitol.
Yeah, I mean, it's really something. It's okay for Anon to push the theory that 2016's election was stolen and rigged, huh?
I mean, she is alleging that the president of the United States was on the phone with Vladimir Putin and somehow directing an insurrection on the Capitol. Like, I mean, I don't think there's anybody that's been more vocally critical of what happened at the Capitol on January 6th than I have. I hate it. I hate it more than anything. But like, you listen to Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton there discussing, to assume that they're talking to their base Democrat, discussing the reality that Russia is involved in all of this. I think, Michael, you made the point in last week's episode. There's nothing that Democrats can bring up that they disagree with that isn't the fault of Russia.
That's right. You know, I mean, there's just Hillary Clinton will never accept the fact that she lost in 2016 to Donald Trump. And we spent years with the American media as basically a therapy session for Hillary Clinton and her hurt feelings.
That's exactly right. And yet nobody is willing to equate at this point what they've done for the last 4 years with misinformation that you hear out of the MyPillow guy. Right now, I think what Mike Lindell, and just for those of you who haven't followed this, the MyPillow guy showed up over the weekend, and because he brought some stuff to the White House that was clinically insane and basically, I mean, so detached from reality that it's alarming. But he's the MyPillow guy.
I mean, he makes great pillows. Like I have to take the time to point that out. And the Giza Dream Sheets from only a specific region. I mean, they're Giza Dream Sheets. They're fantastic.
But his alternate reality ultimately is deployed in the making of linens, right?
Yeah, I mean, he does it very well.
This is the Speaker of the House. This is the Speaker of the House.
Well, here's the thing. We've all been on like lockdown for 10 months, and I don't know about you guys, but like, this prolonged internet exposure has totally rotted my brain to the point where, like, last week, I have to admit I spread some fake news of my own. And
I got calls about this.
Let's hear it.
So the Steve Holzer who tweeted that he was Bo Erickson's news director at CBS wasn't his actual boss. According to New York Post, Holzer was a news director who had worked at CBS in the past, but not currently. That currently he's a journalism instructor at UCLA. Basically, this guy was like LARPing, like he was like play acting like he was Bo's boss to get retweets from other people in the media industry. And so, like, we've seen this a number of times on Twitter where like people create fake news for for viral retweets. One example from a couple of days ago, I don't know if you guys saw this one, but this is one of my favorites, was this fake CNN correction. Did you guys see this?
The Ted Cruz Doritos?
Yes. So to fill in the audience here, somebody had tweeted out a fake CNN correction. Basically, it said, correction, a previous version of this story misstated that Senator Ted Cruz was seen wearing a pin featuring a QAnon symbol. It was later discovered that this was not a QAnon pin, but a Dorito snack chip stuck to his suit.
Kind of funny.
It is really funny. It is really funny. But like, here's the thing, just to sort of put a nice bow on this whole section of the pod, is like, we are all collectively losing our minds.
We are.
Sure. And so, like, everyone, myself included, let's all like take a beat, like an extra second to think before we RT.
Yeah. And it made worse by people like Hillary Clinton who are broadcasting it live. Like here, what a perfect contrast, right? Here on Ruthless, we're actually carving out a segment to tell you we were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We were wrong. We shouldn't have put that out there.
Like, we don't get paid for this. And like, this is something we do for fun. Like, as like just a thing we do. We're not like the former Secretary of State. And
I mean, that is so horrific. You point that out. This is a former Secretary of State, folks. Like, she was meeting with world leaders, and now she just thinks there's this like grand scheme against her of like Putin and Donald Trump, and oh my God, they all ganged up against me.
And speaking of schemes against me, there's another. While we're on the subject, there's another thing I would like to.
Oh, you're the victim
to clear
now?
up here. I'm a victim.
You're the victim now. This is unbelievable. We have to spend a full segment apologizing for this guy's behavior. Now he's the victim.
No. Listeners of the podcast may recall that a few episodes ago there was an intro segment done where we basically had a heartfelt moment for all of Donald Trump's Twitter reply guys.
The reply guys.
We did. And Holmes and Smug and I got on here, and they're like, hey guy, Duncan, you can sing a little, like lay down a few bars, Arms of the Angel. And we'll layer it in with some instrumental and we'll play it in behind us. That's not what happened. That is not what happened. They put me out there, no music, and just put me out there for 30 seconds.
It was our show's producer, Moderate Jeff. Completely
Moderate
botched.
Jeff.
I'm so mad about that.
We're going to throw Moderate Jeff under the bus.
Moderate Jeff is the one that did me dirty on this. I didn't, I will say I appreciated the final product.
I mean, it was still great, but it could have been really something.
Well, so I think we have an opportunity to do another one here. And Holmes, you want to take the lead on this? Because I think you've got a little insight on it.
Well, listen, I think we should surprise people because we're not just a podcast, we're a variety show now.
Yeah, truly.
We're a variety show. So we're going to do a little singing and dancing.
I'll put my heart in it.
You know what? I'll use this. We'll keep that under wraps, and I'll use this to say, stay tuned. We might have some interesting content coming very soon. Maybe even before the Thursday episode. We'll see if we can make it work.
Yeah, you got to keep your eyes open. But either way, we're gonna give our good friend Duncan with Duncan an opportunity to redeem himself and his vocal stylings for the Ruthless audience.
I just didn't know it was going to be laid bare like that. I thought, it'd be layered in underneath some vocals. And
would it make you feel better if you hum a couple more bars of Arms of an Angel?
I am saving that content for the next pod. Okay.
Well, that's a perfect way to wrap this one. Great episode, gentlemen. So until next time, minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Thursday, if not sooner. Stay ruthless.